Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Liam's Fight Night Picks here on the STBX YouTube channel. Something a little bit different this week. It will just be myself giving you a rundown of the fights we got to look forward to this weekend. No guest, so it'll be my opinion and mine alone. So I'll be looking for lots of interaction in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree with me, I'd absolutely love to hear from you. As we know, all roads lead to the OVO Wembley Arena this weekend, where it is another magnificent 7 card being put on by Frank Warren and Queensbury. It is topped by Brad Pauls against Denzil Bentley, which we'll come to later. And we're also going to sprinkle in the first defence of Liam Paro's IBF lightweight world title out in Puerto Rico. The Road Warrior doing it again this weekend. But without further ado, let's jump right into our first fight that we're going to look into. And it is Sam Noakes against Matthew Rennie, which is 10 rounds for the English welterweight title. Noakes' third outing of the year. It's his first fight since he won this belt on the Joyce Chisora card at the O2 back in January. He's 8-0 with 4 KOs. And look, he's on the right trajectory. He's maybe not got the same limelight as his brother Sam does at the moment with the European honours he's picked up this year, but he's quietly chipping away. He's quietly putting together impressive victories. And the English title is, for me, I believe, the first stepping stone towards hopefully a British title tilt as we move into 2025. His opponent, Matt Rennie, is 14-0 with only 1 stoppage on the record. So that suggests he's a fighter that doesn't pack the power, doesn't pack the punch to be able to do anything to sit Noakes down or stop him in his tracks if he does get into his rhythm in this fight. And from having a look on his record, this is the first time that Rennie has been scheduled to go 10 rounds in his career. Now, that's not to say that he's not capable of going 10 rounds and not to say that he's not capable of stepping up to this level. But for me, it's an indication of possibly the levels in this fight. Rennie is a very good fighter to have on your small hall domestic shows, and an English title is probably something that he wants to strive for in his career. However, coming up against Sean Noakes, a fighter who I believe is going to go on to British, Commonwealth and possibly world honours in the future, may just be too much for Matthew Rennie to compete with on the night. So with that in mind, when it comes to this fight, I think it's a big night for the Noakes family. Obviously, Sean is in action further on the card, which I'll come to in a little while. I believe Sean Noakes will start the night for the family with a bang, with a stoppage victory in the mid-rounds of the fight, I believe. I think it will take him a few rounds to get into his rhythm. He won't want to get blown out of there himself and get caught cold early on just because Rennie only has 1 KO on his records. So we will see what happens in that fight. But for me, Sean Noakes to defend his English title via stoppage in the mid-rounds. And as I've said, push on towards the British welterweight title during 2025. Now, we've got 2 heavyweight fights on this card on Saturday night. And the first of them is our second English title fight on the card. It's between Sol Dacres and David Adeleye. Now, Sol Dacres, he's 9-0 with 3 KOs, which for a heavyweight doesn't scream, I am a power puncher. And that would probably be a fair reflection of Dacres' career. He either gets stoppages or he really nurses and labours the points decision victories, as was shown in the fact that he had to rematch Michael Webster in the summer of this year after labouring to a split decision points win the year before. He did come back with a TKO victory and looked more impressive, but in fairness to Dacres, Webster was a very limited opponent. So Dacres done what he should have done first time round. He shouldn't have needed a rematch to do it, but he righted that wrong and sort of silenced a few critics that wondered if he was going to trip up at a fairly low domestic level. In the other corner, we have David Adeleye. He has had 14 months out of the ring. This fight was scheduled to happen earlier in the year. Adeleye has been injured since the Fabio Wardley fight. He's taken a bit of time to get over his injury, to get himself back into training. And he'll be looking to banish the demons of that nightmare night in Saudi, back on the very first card that Turki Al-Sheikh brought us. He was outboxed and ultimately finished by Fabio Wardley in fairly emphatic style that night. He never really got going. And after all the shenanigans we saw from Adeleye in the build-up to the fight, all the punching of Fabio Wardley on the red carpet, the trash talking, etc. It was a fairly timid performance. And the character that David is, you wouldn't expect that sat too well with him over the last 14 months. So he's 12-1 with 11 KOs. So that is more what you expect from a heavyweight. He does have that lights out power that we like to see in fighters. And, he's been at a higher level. He's already been at British and Commonwealth level. He's held a WBO international title, I believe, for what that's worth. So he has some experience on an international stage as well. And for me, Dacres looks to be a tailor-made opponent here for David Adeleye. He's slow, he's cumbersome. He doesn't appear to have the lights-out power that David Adeleye definitely has in his hands. And it's the perfect fight for David to come back to before he makes another tilt on British honours, probably once Fabio Wardley has moved on to European and world level and left those belts behind. So with that in mind, I'm expecting a statement from David Adeleye on Saturday night and think he'll break Sol Dacres down and grab a stoppage between rounds 5 to 7, I'm saying. It could come earlier, it could come later. But for me, David Adeleye is the better fighter in that ring, and he will show it on Saturday night. Our second heavyweight fight on the Magnificence 7 card is the heavyweight debut of the source, Lawerance Okolie. He is now a 2-time world champion, being the former WBO cruiserweight and WBC bridgerweight title holder, which he won and then vacated already this year without defending. His record of 20-1 and 15 KOs is one thing, but as anyone who's watched Lawerance Okolie will know, he can be a very, very frustrating watch. I think back to his British title fight on the Joshua Povetkin card against Matty Askin back in 2017, and he completely stumped the gaff out of Wembley Stadium, if we're being honest. He was cuddling and holding and was lucky not to get docked points and, given a stern talking to about being kicked out by the referee, because he'd done everything he could to make that a cuddling contest as opposed to a fight. And unfortunately, we've seen him revert to that type under other trainers. We've seen him do it with Shane McGuigan. We've seen him do it with Sugar Hill Stewards. Yes, okay, we didn't see it in his first fight with Joe Gallagher, but Lucas Rosowski was completely overmatched in that fight and was drowned within 3 minutes. So the argument there is Lawerance Okolie done exactly what was expected of him. He went into the ring, he won that belt, and now he's moving on. He's always said he'd move up to heavyweight. He's always said that when he does, it will suit his style better. But for me, there's always a question of what Lawerance Okolie is going to turn up. Saturday night should be a relatively easy introduction to the heavyweight division where he's able to land a highlight reel KO that can be used to create viral moments to generate hype to seeing him taking on some of Britain's other heavyweights, talking about Joe Joyce, Dillian White, if he could get his license sorted. Even maybe a title shot against Daniel Dubois or Joshua, if Joshua can get himself back in the mix further down the line. But a part of me does feel that he's going to make heavy weather of this fight. We'll move on to his opponent, who is Hussein Muhamed, 18-1 with 14 KOs. This is Muhamed's first time fighting outside of Germany. So this comes back to what I said earlier. Muhamed is being handpicked and brought in to make Lawerance Okolie look good on this Queensbury platform, making his debut in this division. He's a limited opponent. He's never been 10 rounds before. When he's won fights, he seems to win them quite conclusively. When he lost, he was taken out within the first half of the fight. What ambition does Muhamed have? Would a victory for him be lasting the full 10 rounds? For me, I say it would be. I can't see a way that he's able to beat Lawerance Okolie. But if he can frustrate Lawerance and make him revert to type, make him go back to some of the ways we've seen him fight in the past, where we've had crowds booing, we've had people turning his fights off, etc., then that will lead to a frustrating watch again from Lawerance Okolie. And ultimately, Muhamed's getting the moral victory going the full 10 rounds, which no one really wants to see, but is a possibility in this fight. In terms of a prediction, being really honest, as you've probably heard from what I've said in the last few moments, I'm really caught in two minds. The obvious thing to expect here would be that Lawerance Okolie is going to bulldoze through Muhamed within the first 3 or 4 rounds and make an absolute statement with getting the stoppage. However, we all know Lawerance Okolie, he doesn't always do things easily. He can make the most simple and straightforward of tasks look as difficult and as cumbersome as possible. So whilst I expect Lawerance Okolie to win, I'm not sure which way it's going to go. From a point of view of not sucking the life out of the arena and keeping the cards going, I hope he delivers us with a knockout and he does it in quick fashion. And he's a talking point at the end of the night for positive reasons. But it wouldn't at all surprise me if he has to labour his way through 10 rounds, and we're all questioning what Lawerance Okolie is actually going to be able to offer at heavyweight. So a Lawerance Okolie victory, methods, all depends on what Lawerance turns up on the night. That's my prediction there. So we're going to move away from the Wembley Arena in this card quickly. And we're going to go to the road warrior himself. Liam Paro is ready for his maiden title defence. This is for his IBF lightweight world title. He's going up against the also unbeaten Richardson Hitchins. Now, this fight, look, Liam Paro is the perennial underdog road warrior. He's proven doubters wrong time and time again. He was brought over to America in the latter part of 2023 to take on Montana Love. He was a big Matchroom, DAZN US prospect, and ultimately put a beating on Montana Love. Despite the scorecards being a bit generous for Montana, there was no arguments at the end of that fight that Liam Paro had done enough to win it. Off the back of that, Several Matisse, everything was being lined up for him to be Matchroom's Puerto Rico star, for him to pick up an IBF belt and then go on to a run that would see him unifying this lightweight division. Liam Paro was having none of it. He heard he was the bogey man. He heard no one wanted to fight him. He said, not only will I fight him, but put me in Puerto Rico. And that performance from Liam Paro back earlier this year was as impressive as they come. The bogeyman of the division was slaughtered, was beaten, and Liam Paro was a deserved world champion. The fact that he was able to get a wide decision out in Puerto Rico as well shows just how impressive that performance was. He's 25-0 with 15 KOs. The power lays with him in this fight. But at the same time, as he showed against Mateus, he can box. There was times in that fight where his power wasn't getting through, so he slowed it down. He took it back to his jab. He took it back to the basics, and that ultimately allowed him to find a second wind and kick on again as the fight went on. We'll talk about Richardson Hitchins. It's his first world title shot for the American. He has been impressive so far. There's no doubting that he's risen through the ranks and earned this opportunity on merit. However, he doesn't have the concussive punching power that Liam Paro does. And for me, that's a worry in this fight, because Liam Paro comes at 100 miles per hour. He sits on your chest. He's in your face for 36 minutes, or if he can end the fight earlier. If Hitchins hasn't got enough to push him off, to deter him, to make him think twice about what he's doing, then I do wonder what chance he can have in this fight. There's no doubting that he's going to start first. He'll look at what Matisse done back in the summer and see, okay, if I can start fast, if I can then not fall into the same traps that he did, I can take this fight away from Liam Paro. But for me, even though I do predict that we will see a fast start from Richardson Hitchins, Paro will come back into the fight strong. He may have to weather a storm. I don't believe he will stop Richardson Hitchins. I think Hitchins will have enough to get through the fight to make it to the final bell, but Liam Paro will make a successful first defense of his world title via a unanimous decision. And then hopefully the homecoming that I'm sure he's been promised by Eddie and Frank in the Matchroom stable can be set up for the first quarter of 2025. Because for me, there are very few fighters out there at the moment that deserve a homecoming for what they've achieved on the road more than Liam Paro. So I really do hope that we get to see that after this in 2025. We're going to move back now to the OVO Arena, and we're going to go to what is the co-main event of the night. It is Sam Noakes up against the veteran that is Ryan Walsh. It's 12 rounds with a British, Commonwealth and the WBO international title for that, what that's worth. Look, what can you say about Sam Noakes? We were talking about his brother Sean earlier. He's picked up the English title this year. Sam himself has gone on a fantastic run, adding the European title to the British and Commonwealth titles that he picked up last year, and then going on to defend that title against Gianluca Siglia in September of this year at York Hall, a fight that I attended and was very impressed with what I saw from Noakes that night. He is 15-0 with 14 stoppages. So Yvan Mendy, the veteran that we've all heard of from fighting Luke Campbell and the likes in years gone by, is the only man to last 12 rounds with him. But Sam Noakes at the moment is on a trajectory that's only going upwards. There was talks that he was getting the fight against Denis Barancic on the December 21st Usyk Fury rematch. Perhaps that fight is what is planned next after he comes, if he successfully comes through this one on Saturday night. And look, I would not be against seeing Sam Noakes get a crack at world honours. He's shown that he can do it at a European level. The next step is world honours. What do you do once you get to European level? Okay, you could argue, well, he's coming back down to British level for this fight. I've got no issues with that because he's staying active. Instead of sitting it out and waiting until May, June time next year for a fight, he's gone to Frank and George and the Queensbury boys and said, put me back in the ring. I took no punishment in that last fight. Give me a fight at the end of the year. And that's exactly what he's got. We move on to his opponent in Ryan Walsh. Now, look, no one expected Ryan Walsh to be here. When he went in against Reece Mould on the GBM card at the back end of September, he was there as the name. He was there as a name to go onto Reece Walsh's record, to make him, Reece Mould's record, to make him look a bit good. You know, if you can get Ryan Walsh on your record, it shows that you've got the ability. Walsh absolutely ripped that script up and delivered a devastating stoppage in the first round. It was completely not what was planned, but on that, Walsh has earned himself his shots. Yes, he is 38 years old. Yes, he is 29-4 now. But he has never been stopped, Ryan Walsh. He has never he's very rarely been dropped. He is a fighter that has always given it his all for 12 rounds. Even in defeat, he's always come in and given a good account for himself. My question marks for Walsh in this fight are, he is 38 now. What does he have left? Look, he described before the Mould fight as it being the last roll of the dice to see where he's at. He's come out of a victory and now someone's given him a lottery ticket for a potential world title fight against Nokes. He was never going to say no to that. But for me, this is a different proposition than it was for against Reece Mould. I believe that Sam Nokes is on another level and that he will be able to make Ryan Walsh have to work hard in the fight. Look, as I've just said, Ryan Walsh has never been stopped before and we're guaranteed to get a fun fight. Ryan Walsh is not going to take a backward step. He's not going to make Sam Nokes' life easy. And whilst I don't think Nokes will be able to get a stoppage, it will actually be even more of a statement for him to come out and win this fight, say 9 rounds to 3, 10 rounds to 2 on the judges' scorecards and show, look, this is what I've done now against European and world level fighters and a fringe level fighter, if we're being honest about the career that Ryan Walsh has had. I am ready for a wide title shot in 2025. Sam Nokes is a special fighter on a special trajectory, and this is just the next stop on that journey for me. I fully believe it will be a wide, unanimous decision victory for the man from Maidstone, Kent on Saturday evening in the co-main event. And that leaves us just with the main event from this magnificent 7 card to talk about. It is Brad Pauls against Denzil Bentley. It's for the British WBO International and vacant middleweight title. It's WBO number 2 in Pauls against WBO number 1 in Bentley. It is the best of British and it is a fantastic scrap. Listen, Brad Pauls is 19-1 with 1 draw. It's the first defence of his British title that he won in fantastic style with a last round stoppage of Nathan Heaney in their rematch earlier this year. And he's riding a crest of the wave. Look, he said that winning a British title was the pinnacle of his career. It's all he hoped for when he turned over as a pro. He wins this fight, not only does he become a European champion, but it's highly likely he will get the next shot at the WBO champion, which is currently Janabek at 160 pounds. That is, stuff of dreams for him. And he's riding the crest of the wave at the moment. And he's in a place where if he turns up and if he can ride and build and everything he's built for himself in the last 12 months, he'll make it a hard night for Denzil Bentley. Now we'll move on to Denzil Bentley's 23-1 with 17 stoppages. Listen, this man is a former 2-time British title holder. He's a former WBO title challenger. He gave a very, very good of himself against Janabek when he was taken over to America a few years ago now. But as we know, when Denzil Bentley is on it, he can deliver highlight reel stoppages or highlight reel performances. However, when he is not on it, as we saw in the Nathan Heaney fight in November of last year, he can look very cumbersome, very laboured, and ultimately can lose fights he should win with relative ease. Bentley's done what's asked of him this year. He's had 2 fights. He's had 2 second-round stoppages of opponents that he's expected to do that against. But Saturday night for me is where we're going to see what does Denzil Bentley have left in the tank. If Denzil Bentley gets the win on Saturday night, another shot at a world title, or bringing the British, Commonwealth and European titles together against Kieran Conway, I'm absolutely all for. If he loses to Brad Pauls, then all those opportunities should go to the man from Newquay. He should get the opportunity to fight Kieran Conway. He should get the opportunity to get a world title shot. Denzil Bentley is fighting for a lot more than belts in his reputation on Saturday night for me. He is fighting for his career. his career at the top level anyway. He may be able to come again at a domestic level, but a world level career all hinges on the result of this fight on Saturday night. And I, for one, cannot wait to see how it unfolds. The career trajectory and what you'd expect to happen favours Denzil Bentley. But look, Brad Pauls is a man in the form of his life at the moment. He will not want to relinquish that British title easily. And I believe that that makes him a dangerous man in this fight. Well, I will move on to a prediction here. It's a fantastic main event, as I said. Pauls has all the momentum. He's riding a crest of the wave, looking to make his career to a level that he never thought was possible. Denzil Bentley believes that he belongs back at the top table. He has every chance to become a world champion. And if he does that on Saturday night, then there's no saying that won't happen in 2025. I believe that Denzil Bentley's experience at a higher level, he's a little bit more cute. He hits harder. He's got the ability to put opponents away, will be what the difference is on Saturday night. And whilst Brad Pauls will give a good account of himself, I believe that Denzil Bentley is going to land a stoppage victory in the second half of the fight. In the second half of the fight, I believe we will see a stoppage victory from Denzil Bentley. It will be a fantastic fight. It would not surprise me at all if Brad Pauls wins. But for me, Denzil Bentley's experience at a higher level is going to be the thing that makes a difference in this fight. And that wraps up another episode of Liam's Fight Night Picks. Something a little bit different this week. So if you've made it through the 20-odd minutes of me rambling along by myself, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I will be back looking ahead to Monaco's Matchroom card, Jaime Munguia's next fight, and Box's end-of-year show featuring Lauren Price and Natasha Jonas next week. I will see you then. Thank you very much for watching.